Throwaway, BC, my wife is always on social media, and I don't want this getting back to her. So I, male, 35, have been married to my wife, female, 33, for 12 years, and we have 2 kids. Everything has been pretty normal until about 2 months ago, when she started this whole volunteering thing that just doesn't add up. Look, my wife has always been the one who handles all the family stuff while I focus on work. I'm in manufacturing, steady hours, decent pay. She's like crazy organized about everything. Color-coded calendars, meal prep schedules, the whole 9 yards. So when she tells me she's doing something, I usually just trust her to handle it because honestly, that's how we've always worked. But here's the thing that's been bugging me. About 2 months ago, she starts going out Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday evenings saying she's volunteering at the community center, which is great. Whatever. Good for her. Except when I ask basic questions like what programs she's helping with or who runs the place, she gets all weird and vague. When I ask what kind of stuff she helps with, she just says it's programs for the community. And I'm thinking, no, I literally don't know. That's why I asked. But whenever I try to get actual details, she either changes the subject or snaps at me for being controlling. The other thing is, she originally said these volunteer things would be over by like 8 p.m., but she's been rolling in at 11 p.m. or later. When I mentioned this, she got defensive and said, "Things run late sometimes, but come on, 3 hours late, every single time." I should probably mention that being defensive about stuff is totally new for her. Usually she explains everything in way too much detail, like I'll know exactly which aisle she went down at the grocery store. So this vague BS is completely unlike her. Anyway, last week I was getting really suspicious. I know this sounds bad, but when she was in the shower, I checked her phone. We've always shared passcodes, no secrets or whatever, so it's not like I was hacking into anything. And here's where it gets weird. I found specific text conversations that were just gone. Like there would be messages from 3 weeks ago and then messages from yesterday, but nothing in between. You could tell stuff got deleted because the timestamps were all weird. Her browser history was completely wiped clean, which is also strange because she never deletes that stuff. But the thing that really got me was these workout photos saved to her cloud, like her in gym clothes and workout gear, time-stamped during times she said she was volunteering. I'm not talking about inappropriate photos or anything, just fitness stuff that doesn't match up with helping out at community programs. So the next morning, after the kids left for school, I confronted her about it. I tried to be calm and just asked her to explain the deleted messages and why there were gym photos when she's supposed to be volunteering. She absolutely lost her shit. Started screaming about how I violated her privacy and I'm being controlling and paranoid. But here's the thing. She never actually explained why she would need to delete text messages about volunteer work. Like if you're helping old people with their taxes or whatever, why would you need to hide that? I told her I wouldn't have snooped if she hadn't been so sketchy about everything, and I just wanted to understand what was actually going on. But she kept deflecting and attacking me for not trusting her, instead of just explaining what the hell she's been doing 3 nights a week. The whole fight was just her saying I'm terrible for checking her phone, but she couldn't give me one good reason why she'd lie about something as innocent as community service. And honestly, that just made me more convinced something's really wrong here. I mean, I feel like crap about going through her phone. I really do. I've never done anything like that before in 12 years of marriage. But when your spouse starts acting completely different and lying about where they are, I don't know, what would you do? She's still going out on her volunteer nights and still won't give me any real details. Last Tuesday when she left, I asked what time she'd be home, and she said, I don't know, probably late. Like that's a normal answer. I keep going back and forth between feeling like a paranoid asshole and feeling like I'm being lied to. Part of me wonders if I should just let it go and trust her, but the deleted messages thing really bothers me. Like, why delete messages about innocent volunteer work? Am I the idiot for snooping through my wife's phone because she's being secretive about her volunteer activities? Edit. Since people are asking, no, I haven't tried following her or anything crazy like that. And yes, I realize snooping was wrong, but after weeks of getting weird non-answers about basic questions, I felt like I was going insane. A few people mentioned checking our bank statements, which honestly, I probably should do, but my wife handles all that stuff and always has. I bring home the paycheck and she manages everything else, which has worked fine for us until now. I'm starting to think maybe I should have been paying more attention to the details instead of just assuming everything was handled. Now for the first update. Update. You were right about needing real answers instead of just snooping around Keeming. Things got way more complicated since my last post. I took some of your advice about having an actual conversation instead of just arguing about the phone thing. So yesterday morning after the kids left for school, a week after our big fight about the phone thing, I made coffee and just sat down with my wife. I told her I didn't want to keep fighting like we had been, and I just needed to understand what was actually going on. Like I said, I was sorry for checking her phone, but I was going crazy with all the weird, secretive stuff, and I just wanted the truth. And she completely broke down. I mean, like, ugly crying, the whole thing. Turns out, she hasn't been volunteering anywhere. At all. She's been working as a fitness instructor at 3 different gyms because she said we're in serious financial trouble and she didn't know what else to do. I'm sitting there like, what the hell are you talking about? We're fine. But apparently, we are not fine. Not even close. She's been teaching classes Tuesday and Thursday nights at 2 different gyms, plus Saturday morning spin classes at a 3rd place. Though she told me Saturday evenings because the morning classes run late with cleanup and client consultations, so she's usually not home until evening anyway. The whole volunteer story was complete BS because she didn't want me to know how bad our money situation actually is. When I asked about the deleted text messages I'd found, she said she'd been deleting conversations with the gym managers and other instructors because she was paranoid I'd see them and ask questions. She said reading names like Mike from CrossFit or Sarah scheduling manager would have blown her volunteer story immediately. I guess our monthly expenses have been way over what I bring home for like 6 months now. She said it started when our son's travel soccer fees went up, and then our car needed that transmission work back in the spring. For the first few months, she tried to handle it by cutting back on groceries and using credit cards for the extra expenses, thinking it would just be temporary. But when the debt kept growing, that's when she started looking for the gym instructor jobs, about 2 months ago. But apparently between the sports costs and car repairs and just regular stuff getting more expensive, we've been spending like $800 more than my paycheck every month. And here's where I felt like a complete idiot. I asked to see our credit card statements because honestly, I realized I had no clue what we actually spend on stuff. My wife handles all that and always has, so I just assumed everything was under control. She went to her filing cabinet, because of course she has everything perfectly organized, and pulled out this folder of statements, 6 different credit cards, over $15,000 in debt that I had no idea existed. $15,000. She's been making minimum payments on all of them with the money from the gym jobs, but the interest is growing faster than she can pay it down. The 3 instructor jobs combined only bring in about $1,200 a month, which barely covers the minimums while we keep adding more debt. I'm looking at these numbers, and I literally don't understand how our mortgage, utilities, groceries, and kid stuff adds up to what's on these statements. Like, I thought we were spending maybe $3,500 a month total, but apparently it's closer to $5,000 with all the random stuff that comes up. My wife said she didn't want to stress me about money when I was already working steady hours, and she thought she could just fix it herself with part-time gym work, which obviously wasn't working. I don't even know how to feel about this. Part of me feels like garbage because she's been dealing with this huge financial mess alone while I was clueless. But I'm also pissed that she hid something this massive instead of just telling me we needed to cut back or that I needed to find a way to work more hours. Like, we could have figured something out 6 months ago. Maybe I could have picked up overtime, or we could have put the kids in less expensive activities or something. Instead, she created this whole lie and took on 3 jobs, and we're still sinking. We got into another fight because I said hiding a $15,000 debt was just as bad as hiding an affair, and she said I would have made her feel guilty about not handling the household money right. Which, okay, maybe she's not wrong about that. I probably would have been stressed about it. But isn't that better than lying and going deeper into debt? She said her mom always told her you try to fix money problems yourself before you get other people involved, especially when it comes to family finances. Apparently, her mom went through some really bad financial stuff during her divorce, and her mother-in-law, my wife's grandmother, cut them off financially when things got messy. So my wife learned that you don't burden other people with money problems. But I'm not other people, I'm her husband, and this is our debt, not just hers. The really frustrating part is she's been doing all this math and planning and tracking expenses like crazy, but none of it was actually solving the problem. She showed me these detailed spreadsheets of minimum payments and interest rates and gym class schedules. She's been working her ass off for months, and we're still falling behind. I asked why she didn't just tell me when the expenses first went over our income, and she said she thought it would just be temporary. Like the soccer fees would go back down. They won't. And we wouldn't have any more car problems. We will. And she could just handle it until things balanced out again. I think what really pisses me off is that I've been walking around thinking everything was fine while she was working 3 jobs and lying about it. I feel like an idiot for not paying attention to what we actually spend money on. But I also feel betrayed that she thought it was better to lie and hide debt than to just talk to me about it. Now I'm wondering what else I don't know about our finances. Are there other cards? Other debts? Is our mortgage current? I literally have no idea because I've never looked at any of it. She keeps saying she was trying to protect me from stress, but going to work every day thinking your family is financially stable and then finding out you're actually $15,000 in debt is way more stressful than just knowing the truth. I don't know where we go from here. The gym jobs clearly aren't cutting it, and I can't just magically make more money appear. We need to figure out how to actually deal with this debt instead of just managing minimum payments forever. Part of me is relieved she wasn't cheating, but honestly, this feels almost worse. At least if she was having an affair, I'd know what to do about it. But a financial crisis this big, I have no idea how to fix it. Information to add. Since people are asking, no, my wife can't just ask her family for money. Her brother works as a contractor for my company's main supplier, and he's worried that asking for financial help would make things weird with the business relationship. Plus, my wife said her mom has been dealing with some health stuff lately and doesn't need money stress on top of everything else. For those suggesting she should have just been honest from the beginning, I get that, but her mom taught her that you never admit financial problems to in-laws because it makes the family look bad. Her mom's own mother-in-law basically cut them off financially during her parents' divorce because she thought my wife's mom was financially irresponsible. So my wife has been scared of looking like she can't handle household management, which is why she tried to solve it herself instead of involving me. Now for the second update, you were all right about this being way worse than just lying about volunteer work. After that conversation we had last week about the real reason for her volunteering, I couldn't stop thinking about what else I might not know. So this past weekend, I decided I needed to see all our financial stuff myself. What I found? I honestly don't even know how to process this. The $15,000 in debt I mentioned before, that was just the beginning. So Saturday morning, after the kids went to my parents' house for the day, I got out all the paperwork, credit card statements, bank records, all of it. My wife was at her mom's again, which honestly I was relieved about because I needed to think without her around. I'm going through statement after statement and finding payments I didn't recognize, like $400 going out every month to something called Family Care Solutions, and another $200 to Wellness Partners, and random medical copays that don't match up with our insurance stuff. By the time I finished going through everything, we're not talking about $15,000 like I thought after our conversation last week. Those were just the credit card balances. When I added in the payment plans, medical billing, and some cards I didn't even know we had, we're talking about almost $25,000 total. $25,000. That's more than half of what I make in a year. When my wife came home Sunday morning, I had everything laid out and told her she needed to explain this to me because apparently I don't know anything about our actual finances. And that's when I found out what was really going on. Her mom has been in and out of the hospital since the spring with some kind of heart condition that their insurance barely covers, like the treatments and specialists and everything. Insurance says it's experimental or whatever, So my wife has been sending $400 every month to help cover the medical bills since around the time our own expenses started getting out of control. That's another $2,000 on top of everything else. But get this, her mom specifically made her promise not to tell me about needing money because she was too embarrassed to let her son-in-law know about their financial problems. So my wife has been stuck between keeping her mother happy and being honest with me, and she chose her mother. The wellness partner's payments. That's my wife's therapy sessions. When I asked why she didn't mention this during our big conversation last week, she said she didn't think it was important since it was just another monthly expense like everything else. But apparently she's been seeing someone for months to deal with the stress of managing all this financial stuff, plus helping her mom, plus lying to me about all of it. But she couldn't tell me about the therapy either, because her mom thinks therapy is for weak people and would be upset if she found out. So my wife has been working 3 jobs, sending money to her mom, paying for therapy to handle the stress of lying, and trying to manage minimum payments on 6 credit cards. And through all of this, I'm just walking around thinking everything's fine. I asked her why she didn't just tell me about her mom's medical situation from the beginning, and she started crying again. She said her mom made her swear not to involve me because family problems should stay in the family, and her mom was worried I'd think less of them for needing help, which is fucking ridiculous because obviously I would have wanted to help. But apparently her mom has something about not being a burden on other people's marriages from when her own marriage fell apart and money got involved. I was still feeling like I didn't have the full picture, so I decided to call the gyms directly to verify what she'd been telling me. I know that sounds crazy controlling, but at this point I felt like I couldn't trust anything she said. The first gym confirmed she teaches Tuesday classes. No problem there. But when I called the second gym and talked to the manager, they mentioned that my wife has been doing partner training sessions with some of their other instructors because they didn't have enough male trainers for couples fitness. And when I asked who she was partnering with, the manager said it was that young soccer coach who works there too. Really nice kid, great with the families. Our son's soccer coach. The guy who runs my kids' team practices twice a week. The guy who's been texting about game schedules and team events. My wife has been doing couples fitness training with our 15-year-old son's 22-year-old soccer coach 3 times a week for 2 months. When I found out, I felt sick because suddenly everything made sense. The deleted text messages, the workout photos, the late nights, all of it. When I confronted my wife about this, she swore it was just work and completely innocent. She said the gym manager paired them up because they needed mixed-gender training teams, and Trevor was the only male instructor available during her shift times. She said it was literally just fitness instruction, and I was making it into something it wasn't. But then Tuesday night, my son comes up to me when my wife is in the shower and says something's wrong. Apparently, Trevor has been asking him questions about our family lately, like whether his parents seem happy when they come to games together, and if we fight at home, and whether his mom seems stressed about anything. My 15-year-old is sitting there telling me his coach has been basically interviewing him about our marriage. My son said it's been making him uncomfortable, but he didn't know what to do about it because Trevor is his coach and a cool guy, and he didn't want to get him in trouble. But he's noticed both me and his mom have been stressed lately, and he's worried something bad is happening. I'm trying to stay calm and not scare my kid, but inside, I'm freaking out. What kind of coach asks a teenage boy about his parents' marriage? So the next day, I called the gym manager back and asked if other parents had mentioned any concerns about Trevor. And yeah, turns out 2 other families from different teams have complained about him asking personal questions about their marriages and family situations. The manager said they've been keeping an eye on it, but didn't think it was serious enough to do anything about yet, which is great. Real professional. I also found out that Trevor specifically requested to be partnered with my wife after he saw her name on the instructor schedule. The manager thought it was because they both work with the same families through soccer. But now I'm wondering if there was more to it. So let me get this straight. My wife has been lying to me for months about working 3 jobs to cover massive debt, including secretly supporting her mother's medical bills that I was never allowed to know about. She's been doing couples fitness training with our teenage son's coach, who's been pumping our kid for information about our marriage. And when I found out about all this, her response was to get mad at me for not trusting her. I couldn't take it anymore. Yesterday, while she was at her mom's house again, I changed the locks. I left her a note saying she needs to decide whether she wants to be married to me or married to her family's financial problems and her inappropriate gym partnerships. I told her she could stay with her mother until she figures out what she actually wants, because I'm done being the last person to know what's happening in my own marriage. She's been texting me but not actually responding to what I said. Just stuff like, "This is crazy," and "You're overreacting," and "We need to talk." But no actual answers about why she chose to lie about everything instead of just being honest. My son keeps asking where his mom is, and I don't know what to tell him. I can't exactly explain that his mother has been working with his soccer coach behind my back while lying about family finances and supporting her mother's medical bills with money we don't have. I know changing the locks sounds extreme, but I felt like I needed her to realize this isn't just about money anymore. This is about the fact that she made major decisions about our marriage without including me. And then when I found out, she attacked me for being suspicious instead of taking responsibility. Maybe I should have handled this differently, but I don't know how else to get through to someone who thinks lying for months is acceptable as long as you have good intentions. She hasn't tried to come home yet. Just more texts about how I'm being unreasonable, and she was trying to protect everyone. But I can't figure out how lying to your husband about working with your son's coach while secretly supporting your mother's medical bills is protecting anyone. To answer everyone asking if I confronted Trevor directly, no, not yet. I'm worried about making things weird for my son's team, and I want to talk to the other parents who complained first. But yeah, I'm definitely planning to have that conversation soon, especially since the gym manager seemed to think the personal questions were just friendly interest in the families. For those saying, I should have tried counseling first, we can't afford counseling right now because we're $25,000 in debt and my wife used our emergency money to support her mother's medical bills. Also, she's already been in therapy for months without telling me, so clearly, individual counseling isn't solving the lying problem. A few people mentioned that maybe Trevor isn't doing anything wrong and it's just coincidence that he's partnered with my wife. But coincidence doesn't explain why he's asking my 15-year-old about our marriage or why he specifically requested to work with her after seeing her name on the schedule.